Holidays are just around the corner, and if you have a Zwifter at home, you are surely wondering what would be the perfect gift for them. But let's face it, most of the recommendations online are at least somewhat driven by various marketing activities. Well, not this one. I am going to give you 7 gift ideas for products that I actually personally use as a Zwifter and that I consider a worthwhile purchase. None of these are sponsored, and I get nothing if you actually buy them. Number 1. Zwift Play. This is an incredible set of controllers that you simply attach to your handlebars and that let you control various aspects of the game. There are many uses for those controllers, but I would mainly like to mention 3. Firstly, they allow you to activate your power-up without needing to reach for your phone with your sweaty fingers. Secondly, you can use them for virtual shifting, and it is actually way more convenient than using the Zwift Click. And most importantly, Zwift Play brings you the ability to steer, which is something that actually gives you competitive advantage during Zwift races. Obviously, the only exception are races where steering is disabled. Number 2. A powerful fan. Sufficient cooling is actually the most important external thing for your indoor cycling performance. Even if the recipient of your gift already has a fan, chances are it isn't a powerful one, and even if it is, they will benefit from having more than one. I actually use 2, one from the front, one from behind. When you are choosing a specific model, pick one that has a narrow stream of air. I know it is very tempting to pick one with the largest blades on the market, but these are not very suitable for Zwift riding. While they move large volumes of air, they do so in a big surface area, which means that the amount of air that is hitting the rider is relatively low. I use Vacmaster Cardio 54, and that one is an excellent choice, is extremely powerful, and they even give you a remote control for your handlebars. But if you are feeling particularly generous, you can get a cycling-specific smart fan that adjusts its airflow based on how hard the rider is going. Wahoo Headwind is the most popular choice, but there are also cheaper alternatives. Number 3. Sweat guards. Even if you have sufficient cooling, during heavy activity you might be actually sweating, and if you are anything like me, you will be sweating a lot. And sweat is a substance that can potentially completely wreck your bike. After the last season, I had to completely replace the bolts in my head tube because they were covered in rust. Sweat guard is a very cheap tool. It's basically a piece of fabric that you fix between your handlebars and your seat post, and it catches the dripping sweat. You can then wash it once in a while and your bike stays protected. Number 4. A rocker plate. This isn't a cheap gift, but honestly, I cannot imagine riding without one indoor for another minute. It's basically a wobbly plate that you put underneath your trainer and your bike, and it makes the movements of the bike way more natural when you are riding it. Without a rocker plate, your bike is completely rigid, and that can cause a lot of discomfort when you are riding for a long time. With rocker plate, the movements are way more like when you are riding outdoors. I personally use Lise Boomboard Pro, which is one of the cheapest rocker plates on the market, but honestly, if I was buying rocker plate today, I would go for a more premium option like Saris MP1 because the device is just so good. Number 5. Custom-made saddle. This is more expensive gift, but I can guarantee you every single rider will appreciate it because the saddle is the point of contact with the bike that can create the biggest discomfort when you have the wrong one. The problem is, most of the riders are using the saddle that came with the bike, but that can be completely unsuitable to their anatomy. With the custom-made saddle, you are guaranteed it will be made exactly for them, and thus the comfort will be optimal. When you are buying custom saddle, you don't need to know any measurements of the person you are buying this for. You can either buy a voucher for them for the custom saddle, or you can buy a measuring kit for them, which is basically a foam desk that they can make their butt imprint with and set it to the manufacturer. One of the most popular brands for 3D printed saddles is Joyseat, which is a Czech company, but there are also other manufacturers like Physique or Specialized. Number 6. Bone conduction headphones. Let's be honest, when you are not racing on Zwift, the ride can get a little boring. Thus, a lot of riders are listening to the music, watching movies, or even watching YouTube videos when they are riding. However, most headphones are not resistant to sweat, which means if you continue to use them, you can actually destroy them. Bone conduction headphones, on the other hand, are made with runners and riders in mind. Sweat doesn't bother them, and since you are not covering your ears, you can even safely use them when riding or running outside. My personal favorite are Shock's Open Run Pro. They are really comfortable, they've got good enough sound quality and loudness, and they won't break a bank. Number 7. Indoor cycling table. Every Zwifter needs a place to put their laptop and tablet, their bottles, energy gels, and so on. And yes, you can use pretty much any flat surface for that purpose, but it is still worthwhile to having a dedicated cycling desk. You can adjust its height, it has non-slippery surface, and even has cutout points to put your tablet in, your bottles in, and even lead your power cables. The most well-known option is Wahoo Kicker Desk, but honestly, that one is incredibly overpriced for what it does, and there is a wide range of knockoffs online that do exactly the same thing. Alternatively, you can use a different style of cycling desk, like the one from Jet Black, and that works well too. So these were my 7 tips for the best gifts for any Zwifter, but I promised you a bonus tip, and this one is suitable for the riders that also ride outdoors. And it is this Garmin Varia radar. And this is a device I'm convinced should be mandatory for riding in traffic. It is a radar that you stick to your seat post and that monitors what is happening behind you. It shows you on your bike computer the amount of cars that are behind you and how fast are those cars going. But it is not the only way it can help you. It is also a smart rear light, which means the faster the cars behind you are going, the faster and more intensively the light flashes. It's incredibly powerful and it can be potentially life-saving. There are 2 versions of this radar. This is the base model that does everything I told you about, and there is also the higher version that has a rear-facing camera, which means that if you are going to find yourself in an unfortunate situation, you will have the footage for a police report or for a potential insurance claim. See you.